It's good to be back on your screens. You know, we've been away because you saw how busy last week was with the elections, so we are busy covering elections. But it's so good then and great to be back on your screens to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports. And when I say sports, I mean all the best of the sports. And I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore. Welcome to Off the Pitch, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by two of the handsome men, who is Zango Rapson and Augustine. Zango Rapson, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and good morning, dear viewers. And it's always good to be here and talking nothing but sport. And I think in the new era of our new first patron, congratulations to the president-elect, and we look forward to his support with regards to football as a Football Association of Zambia new patron.
Augustine.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We channel the glory and honor to the Most High God for the gift of life and good health. And like Uncle Rapson has said, we'd like to congratulate Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the president-elect, the new patron for the Football Association of Zambia. We hope the best is yet to come during his administration.
Like Uncle Rapson and Augustine have said, we welcome our newly elected president, who is also going to be the patron for the Football Federation, and hopefully he'll deliver the best in terms of sports where sports is considered. But anyway, before we get into more details, just take a very, very short break. We'll be right back on the other side.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Pondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Make your payments through mobile money for MTN 096 296 5883, for Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch. Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
We saw one based on Zambeshi coming up with a final list that will represent Zambia in terms of the qualifying of the World Cups, just waiting to be joined by the so-called professionals, or those guys who are playing abroad. But anyway, before we look at the 22-man squad that was selected, we'll just take a look at the CAF Confederation games that were done, which are the preliminary games. And firstly, I'll start with you, Uncle Rapson. How do you look at the groupings in terms of our clubs? We've got Red Arrows and Zanaco, who is facing, let's start with Zanaco. Zanaco will be away to Akonangu FC.
Equatorial Guinea.
Yes.
Well, Zanaco's preparations, I think we were all busy discussing. I think in the previous shows we've been discussing how Zanaco needed to focus on strengthening their bench, then later on coming to the players. But we've seen how fast they've been in the business, and I think kudos to the executive for the high-profile player transfer that Zanaco has been announcing. They've been very, very busy in the transfer market this past week, and I think generally speaking, Zanaco's preparations. If you look at their former player, Salolani Piri, for me, he spent 4 years in South Africa. He came back, has joined Zanaco Football Club as a free agent. He turns out to be one of the good players that has joined the team. He's going to bring that experience that he actually acquired down in South Africa, where he played for a couple of clubs before coming back. They also got a couple of local transfers, like the promotion of young Martin Daka from Young Zanaco. I think that's
striker, one good
thank
striker,
you.
yes.
That's one of the youthful, prolific strikers that I think Zanaco has had in the Young Zanaco team, who has now been promoted to the senior team. And when you look at speculation of, when you look at the loss of Roger Kola, who has trekked into Tanzania, and the purporting pending departures of Martin, their top scorer in the previous season. When you see how Martin Daka has been playing and how he has been performing at Young Zanaco and the subsequent promotion to the main team, the young lad got that promotion on merit. Together with that other defender, I can't remember his name, they promoted 2 youngsters from Young Zanaco. But top on the list, when you look at the motivation that Zanaco is actually giving to the players at their youth side, is it's possible you can make it to the main team. And for me, it's a very, very good thing to do. And like how big clubs are actually handling their teams, where 80% of the transfers or 100% of the transfers are all coming from across clubs. But when you look at this kind of gesture where you get 2 young players from Young Zanaco to get into the main team, it's a very, very huge motivation to the other guys who are still at Young Zanaco, and it gives them hope that hard work actually pays off.
And okay, we can give a good example of Abraham Siangombo, the way he came to the big stage and just shined when he was introduced from Young Zanaco coming to the senior team. It's interesting the way Zanaco have gone about their business, because they have brought in a lot of players. I think wholesale changes. I think I'm not very much impressed with that transfer business, if I have to be honest. If you remember, the last time they did this was the time was Numa Mamba was in charge. He had won the league, then they brought a lot of players, Zanaco, into the team, and it confused the entire setup, and they took a different route. Remember the likes of Chavda Maisha, he was doing very well at Bitcoin. He came to Zanaco, couldn't perform. They brought in Tiberius Nomad, they brought in a lot of players at once, and they have done it again. I think to me it's not very, very convincing if you look at the way they have been doing their business. Is it the coach who's calling these shots, or is it the executives who are making these signings? I think to me, I think we shall see how what Zanaco will do. Because there were certain areas where Zanaco, they didn't need to strengthen, to be honest. They have good players in certain areas, but one area of concern was surely the goalkeeping department. It was an area they needed to address, and they did very, very well to go and get Lamek Siame and the goalkeeper Charles Lau from Indeni.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very good goalkeepers. I think they will beef up that department for Sensational Zanaco. Looking at the defensive side of things, I think Taonga Wembe, why are you bringing back Taonga Wembe? You cannot find another better right back in the country, because Taonga Wembe was at Sunset, struggled. He went to Forest Rangers. He did very well. Maybe they are getting him because he had a good time at Forest Rangers, but it's more like doing the same things and hoping for different results. Yeah, I do not see why they are getting certain players. Salolani is going to be a very, very good addition, because Zanaco in the midfield area, they look a little bit weak. They do not have a ball player necessarily. Yes, Kevin Kapumbu is a very good holding midfielder. He breaks up play, but he's not the kind of guy who will help you when you want to recycle the ball. He's not that guy. He's a good passer of the ball. Salolani is good. He will get on the ball, dictate play, he will control the tempo of the game. He will bring something different to Zanaco. Another interesting signing was also from Eric, also from Beautycon. I think he's one lad who has been very, very good for Beautycon. I think when Beautycon wanted to go down, talked about how frustrating it was, because he wasn't really showing what he's capable of doing, but you could see how he helped Beautycon last season. He will bring something different to Zanaco. Zanaco are always known to be a side which plays on a counter-attack. They like to use the wings very, very much. I think the coming in of Akim Mumba from Red Arrows, who was on loan at Ghana, it will boost Zanaco as well. But it's interesting to see how Kelvin can assemble all these players, because at the end of the day, he will be the guy who will be answering the questions, because we have supported you in the transfer market. But are they the kind of players he wanted? There's another interesting signing, Emmanuel Manda from Lumwana Radiants. I think towards the end of last season, he did very, very well for Lumwana Radiants. Him and Felix Nyainde were all the bright sparks in that Lumwana side, which was destined for the drop. They looked like they were going to help Lumwana stay up. And one interesting signing is Jonathan Daka from Singinda. He was part of Airport Warriors, went to Singinda, and he's joined Zanaco. It's interesting to see how we will cope with the Zambia Super League.
So, in short, their marketing strategy has been okay, and they will represent the country very well.
Bringing players together is one thing, and having a team playing together is another. What Zanaco has done is they have probably sealed most of the departments. That we can confirm, because when you look at their defense, the young lad from Young Zanaco is a defender. They've got Taonga Wembia. They've got who's this other guy? The top defender. There's another guy they got. But when you look at the assembly of all those players, you bring them up together, and you only have probably 2 weeks. And all these players who are joining the team, they were not with the team during the pre-season training, the 10-day pre-season training camp, which they had in Livingstone. 10 days to bring players who've played at a very, very high level is very, very short. When I say 10 days, the first game is when? When is the first game? I think they are playing on the 11th.
The first game is on the 10th. The first leg is on the 10th, or is in the league?
Not the league, the Champions League.
Yes,
the first leg.
The first leg will be played on the 10th
on the 19th.
12th.
Yes, then the second one is on the 19th.
17th.
So they have probably 3 weeks. Maybe they will be able to gel up, form a team that will be very, very formidable. But I see quite a couple of gaps there. When you look at One Lamek, he's away with the national team. Probably will just come back right in good time to go and play Champions League football
and settle down
at Sunset Stadium as well. So it's a very, very complicated story. But I think Charles Lau from Indeni also is going to sit in and just provide that competition where there's Racha Kola and Mangani Banda, who were on and off with their form last season. We would see this weekend, you see this goalkeeper is playing, one blunder puts him off, next week you see another one. I think they need consistency in that particular area, and they did well to bring in those two goalkeepers that they brought in. But I think generally when you look at Zanaco, I'm not seeing the Equatorial Guinea. No hard feelings about it, no disrespect, but I think that club from Equatorial Guinea, it will be a walk in the park for Zanaco Football Club.
I think to me, just before we close on this topic, I think I always fail to understand why whenever we go into continental football, our clubs tend to panic. I think this is panic from Sessions Zanaco. You cannot go and bring 10, 11 players into the football club just to help you play continental football. You go for quality. But you can see Zanaco are just going for quantity rather than quality. So you start wondering, because if we see ourselves as the Zambian Super League, we're one of the best leagues in Africa. So if a team manages to qualify to continental football from one of the best leagues in Africa, meaning you've got what it takes to try and go and play well in continental football. A good example is Young Green Eagles. Remember their debut season when they went to meet Orlando Pirates? It was a pressure game, but look at the quality of Orlando Pirates and Young Green Eagles. They maintained the team which took them to continental football, who understand the way the coach, and Koloma Sejam understands the way the coach wants them to play, and they understand the philosophy of the football club, and they did very, very well in Young Green Eagles. We need to have confidence, because these players who help to qualify for continental football can be the same players who take you to the promised land. Napsa Stars went shopping. They went for Timothy Otieno. They went for Chanda Mushidi. How many of those players helped them get into the group stages? It was the players who helped them qualify for continental football in the end who helped them get into the group stages.
On the other hand, I think Zanaco is trying to avoid what Napsa Stars went through by having a squad that you can dedicate to the local league, and the ones that won them promotion to the CAF Champions League will continue with the CAF Champions League. While this backup they are trying to organize is a backup where when they come back from these continental games, they are back-to-back games, as in the areas of the games in hand that they will be accumulating. I think it's somehow a positive side. I'm looking at it from the positive side of things from Zanaco Football Club's point of view, because they should have quite a good strong squad that will be remaining back home, that is unable to participate in the continental football, in the games, in CAF Confederations Cup games. Yeah. But when they actually focus on the league, these same guys that we are mentioning, the new signees that have come, they should be able to rise to the occasion and maintain on the local side of football, while it's the other team that qualified them to Champions League football, they should be able to pay attention and concentrate on continental football.
But my worry is, if you look at, for example, we take it to the European side of things, a Manchester United or a Chelsea qualifies for the Champions League, do you see them making wholesale changes? Do you see them bringing in 8 players? Because they trust their process. I think the problem is we do not have
lack of preparation?
Yeah, we do not have the right planning. As we are, before the league starts, we need to start planning. If we qualify for continental football, which areas do we strengthen? You do not just strengthen everywhere. No, you strengthen areas where you are lacking.
By the way, as a spokesperson of some club, are you able to tell us about how preparedness your club is doing now?
Very, very prepared.
No, anyway, let's look at these other teams. We've talked of Zesco, but let's just do a quick one on the other fixtures that are going to represent us in terms of CAF. We've got Zesco, who is away to that's Royal Leopards. A quick one, Uncle Rapson, on this one. Are you seeing a walk-away game as well?
Zesco United is very lethal on the African continent, and it's a known fact. And the acquiring of this tall defender, they were almost 2 meters. Peter from the South Sudan national soccer team, the captain of South Sudan, I think it will give them an advantage with regards to aerial balls in their defense, because remember they have quite some short defenders. Okay, Solomon Sakara is a bit tall, but when you look at their left and their right backs, they are all short. When it comes to those corners, I think they've done well to strengthen their central defense, and in midfield they've already sorted it out by bringing one Dixon Chapa, who was participating in CAF Confederations Cup games with Napsa Stars in the previous season. Now he has upgraded himself. Instead of Confederations Cup, he's up for the challenges in the Champions League football now. So it puts Zesco United,
young exciting winger
from Quito United.
Quito United, yeah.
That boy is a marvel to watch, and I think Zesco United, they've been shopping quietly, and when they make a shopping, it's a shopping that shakes the league. And for me, the acquisition of these 3 players cannot be equated to the loss of Bruce Msakanya and the few that have left the club with this, is it
Maceo
Kalonda. So Maceo Kalonda's position, of course, that's where we are seeing Peter coming in and stopping there. In midfield, I think Dixon Chapa will be on hand to do the job. When you look at how Zesco United, their setup is, I think all their departments are completely sealed, if you ask me. They are enjoying the form of one Jesse Jackson Were, who's been on fire, and is one of the few players in the Zambian league that have crossed the 100 goals mark in the probably past 20 years of existence. I mean, the 20 years that I can recall, I think he's one of the few players that have crossed the 100 goals mark. Generally speaking, Zesco United is very, very well prepared, and this preparedness will be seen on the 28th of August when they face Lusaka Dynamos in the Charity Shield. And
for me, I think the interesting part is the way they do their business. I think Zesco United are being very, very smart. They're not being like Zanaco to try and buy whoever can play football. I think they're identifying...
Whoever is with the legs.
Yes, they're identifying
The way Nkana was panicking. Whoever is working
this is the panic now we're seeing from teams representing Zambia. But Zesco United are smart. They identify areas where they need to strengthen. For example, they needed to strengthen in the center half because Maceo Kalonda left them weak in that area because they're short of men in that area. So they're bringing a center half. Then when Akum went and Kondani Mutonga was so you could see there was no replacement in that area. Chanda Mukuka is not a natural holding midfielder, he's a box-to-box lad. So in continental football they would have been very, very open playing Chanda Mukuka in that area. So they realize they go for a holding midfielder and they get Dixon Chapa, someone who's very cool, calm and collected. He's very, very good. He protects the back four very, very well. They have strengthened in that area. And if you look at Bruce Msakanya and Lazarus Piri, they were on loan from Red Arrows and Green Eagles respectively. They've gone back to their parent clubs. Now what do? Zesco United, they go for Edward Lungu, who bring more energy and life to the Zesco United attack. Very, very smart by Zesco United. Going against Royal Leopards, I do not see them struggle. Although Royal Leopards, the last time they played
Red
Arrows were eliminated. So we need to be very, very wary, and we need to get past
I do want to talk about that. I wanted you to talk about the loss. We've watched those boys come here, and they eliminated our very own Red Arrows Football Club. So that is a situation where Zesco United also need to be very wary, because that is a club which has been developing from season after season back in Eswatini, and their progression into the Champions League is not a fluke.
Exactly.
They've been very consistent, and I think we, the Zambian soccer fans,
all the odds beating the likes of Mbawane Swallows,
of course,
the giants of Swaziland.
The giants of Swaziland were nowhere on the championship of Eswatini, and now they are coming to face Zesco United. Of course, on paper, Zesco United, when you look at the African performance on the African continent, Zesco United is a huge giant. And what those guys are coming to do is probably just coming. They are probably coming to do some surprise, because they already know they are playing a giant. But of course, on the other hand, Numba Mamba and his lads, they should not take that tag for granted that they are giants in Africa, because they have performed at a very, very high level. Season in, season out, they have been on continental football, and it's always nice that they have maintained the number of slots that Zambia has been given in terms of continental slots of 4, and they should not underrate this club from Eswatini. They should play their football, do the way they've done their business. I don't see them struggling, but it's not going to be an easy game for them. I don't see them struggling in beating this team, but it is not going to be an easy game, because that team Royal has been very consistent back home in Eswatini to play football at the level where they are now.
Let's look at the teams that are representing us in the CAF Confederation. That's Red Arrows and Kawe Warriors. We've got the so spoken Red Arrows, who was parangashated by Young Nankani. But when we look at here, they will be home. They're the only team that will be playing home, which is Red Arrows. And let's just pick this call. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Bueno.
Zina yanu?
George.
But George, mutumira kuti? Oh, okay. You can go ahead with your contribution.
Let's talk about the things which are participating in the continental.
Yes.
From all the teams that are participating, I think the team which better than to get where we can because they're approaching a lot of players in a very short period of time, and they've get both some players, and most of the players who are approaching, they're approaching before the coach came in calendar. So we'll wait to see what will happen. And for them, so quite good, because Mula Mamba has been around in the game. Most of the time that come out, but the first one, he did very well last season. Looking into the Mungu, Dixon Chapa, and Red Bay, and so to him. This is to make it to a football area. I think keeping them on the technical bench, they're doing fine. I feel them going far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming through, George.
For my line, and good it.
Oh, no, we'll definitely call you today.
Okay.
That was George giving his view in terms of the teams that are representing us. But like I was saying, we've got Red Arrows, which is the only team that will start their game at home, and they will be hosting Young Buffaloes. And then we've got Kawe Warriors, who will be traveling away to face CFFA. Just a quick one on these games. Augustine, I'll start with you with Red Arrows.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting encounter playing against Young Buffaloes. The last time they came to Zambia, they played Young Green Eagles, and Young Green Eagles managed to beat them home, and away was it. And they're a very, very good side. Oh, Green Eagles. I don't know why I'm going to Young Green Eagles. Yeah, I think it's because of Sanjase. Yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah. So they're coming into Zambia. Red Arrows needs to do their job here, because the last time Arrows were in continental football was in 2012. When they finished second in 2011 behind Power Dynamos. They went into continental football with George Rwandamina in charge. They failed to beat Royal Leopards and Koloma Stadium. It ended 0-0, and when you go away from home, you have to sack your players because you will be frustrated left, right, and center. And that's what happened when Red Arrows went to Royal Leopards. They were frustrated before even the game was kicked off, and they got beat 1-0 and were eliminated. They need to do things differently this time around. Chisimbewe is back from his CAF A license.
Our graduate.
Exactly.
Well done to Red Arrows.
Well done to Red Arrows and Chisimbewe now. But there have been a departure in the technical area. Songwe Chalo has moved to Power Dynamos. He's going to be the assistant to Masao Somwale. Masaso Tembo, yeah, so they are going to elevate.
I always tell you that you love Nkana, you just don't want to be honest with yourself. Masaso Somwale is the late Nkana Football Club legend.
Yes. So they are going to elevate, I believe Dominic Yobe is going to be part of that technical setup for Red Arrows. They have got a healthy technical bench. I think they have got Bronson Chama, who is in the ranks. They've got Webster Mulenga, they've got Danny Siwanda. They've got a lot of people who are in that technical area who can come up and be support to Chisimbewe. But in terms of the coming innings, they have brought in left back from Sensational Zanago Kepison Kamanga. He comes in with a bit of continental experience. He's a homegrown lad. He understands Red Arrows very, very well because he stays just a few months.
How many games did you watch Kepison Kamanga play last season?
Yeah, he struggled last season.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So with regards to the transfers, Red Arrows, yes, you've gotten Kepson Kamanga, but how did Kepson Kamanga play last season?
He wasn't very, very good, but if you look at the signings,
let's just pick this call. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yes, morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from? You can go ahead.
Can you give us the list of prayer groups in John 21 in Morocco country?
Yes, we'll definitely run through the names after we are done with.
It's Cletus. Are you referring to Cletus Chotachama?
Give me an update on the prayers that in Canada reports. The incomings and the outgoing. Just give us an update because we can't be quiet. Other things are fine, we're hearing, but that's quiet. We don't want to travel and go with travel last season. You know?
Yeah.
That's what we don't want.
No, an update will be given.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
I think
So
I think a conclusion, sir, to give the people the update.
There was Charles Kalumbwa from Prison Leopards. He's strengthening the goalkeeping area for Red Arrows. I think one area which Red Arrows really need to strengthen before the league starts is the holding midfielder. Before Pokatema has left, now Red Arrows are short in that position. They only have got George Simbamba, a recognized holding midfielder. I think they will need a striker to try and support James Chamanga, I think, going into continental football. But I believe before the league starts, Red Arrows will make a couple of signings. There's one young lad, exciting lad who Arrows have signed from National Assembly. He's going to be the future of Zambian football, young mate. I think we need to really, really watch this lad. He's very, very good. He's very, very skillful. He's one which, because Chisimbo is thinking about the short term, medium term and long term projects. He's just not thinking about continental football. He's thinking about Red Arrows in 2-3 years time from now. I think it's very, very good that I've brought in this lad. He's very, very talented. When he graces Zambian football, a lot of people will be clapping.
Just a quick one on corruption on Kawe Warriors so that we look at.
Have we finished on Red Arrows?
Yes, we finished.
Oh, okay.
It was just a summary. You can do a summary on corruption on Kawe Warriors.
All the best to Red Arrows, really. I think I can't underscore the preparedness of this team, and I think Chisimbewe has been totally in charge. And when you see what the executive have done by sending him to Tanzania to go and finish his CAF A licensing, I think it's in good faith. They have empowered the coach, and I think the departure of Paul Katema, I would like to see the holding midfielder that is going to take up that role, because Paul was quite instrumental in the qualification to these games, and I'm yet to watch any of the preseason games for Red Arrows, and I think it would be nice. Please invite me, Augustine, when you know that they are playing a game.
No problem.
I just want to see how prepared they are, and I think the departure of Songwe Chalo to Power Dynamos Football Club is also going to be felt. I think the guy has been with the club for many, many years, and his contribution to the club has been very, very enormous actually, and it would be nice to see who closes up that role and how supportive he will be to Chisimbewe. And Red Arrows, Young Buffaloes, very, very tough encounter if you ask me, and they are not an easy team. They are just swapping with Zanaco. Zanaco is heading into Zesco United is going into Eswatini to play their first game away, whilst Young Buffaloes, who came second in that league, are also coming back here to face Red Arrows at, I don't know whether they will use Nkoloma Stadium, but I think it would be nice if they were given that advantage to use their home ground, depending on how well the stadium qualifies with regards to the requirements of hosting an international
qualifies.
Just a quick one. Someone just posted to say an alert. It's an alert. Avoid passing near Sunset Stadium between now and August 31st. You will be signed. Just like you said, that anybody who passes near there, they sign. But anyway, looking at the previous shows that we've had on Rapson, we had issues of these CAF C, CAF A licenses, and we saw Livingstone Pirates head coach coming into an issue, and the people came to his rescue to say, this is a gesture we can do. Monies were contributed, and he's yet to go and do his CAF C licensing. And how should it be a lesson to other clubs?
Livingstone Pirates is a council-sponsored side, and the decision that the executive took on Vupe, I think his name is Vupe, that who was sidelined after performing so well, bringing the team from where they were, bringing them up to where they are now, and winning the, what cup is that in Southern Province? They were actually, the Southern Province Cup, they won as Livingstone Pirates. Then as a result of the requirements that a coach needs to have a qualification CAF C for him to sit on the bench, and it so happens that this coach doesn't have that. The decision that the executive made, for me, it's very, very retrogressive to football. Firstly, they needed to appreciate the services of the coach without a CAF A. That coach is the one who has brought them where they are now. He's qualified them to this particular stage where they are now. And now he even won the cup. What they should have done in appreciation is basically what Red Arrows have done to Chisimbewe.
Yes.
But to say, step aside, we bring in another coach to the one with CAF C, I think that was an irresponsible statement from the executive. Sorry to say that. And I think kudos to everybody who teamed up to support Vupe and just make sure that he goes and does his CAF C. I think it's a very, very good thing to do. It's a very, very good gesture if you ask me. But the Livingstone Pirates executive leaves a lot to be desired with regards to management of football in this country.
I think this is one thing that I continue talking about. I think if you look at, we keep training coaches, but we do not train these exco people. I think to me, their thinking, leaves an awful lot to be desired. If you have to be honest, I think, how do you get someone who has taken you that fund? You cannot just invest in him to try and get that CAF C license. It's for your own benefit, because he understands Livingstone Pirates, he understands the football club and the philosophy, the players understand him. I think for you to start thinking of making change late on, I think this is very late. People might think it's there's still time to go get into the season, but it's very, very late for a new coach to come and implement this style and philosophy on a football club. So this guy is someone who understands this football club, the pride of Livingstone. It's good. I think credit to everyone from Livingstone who has done very, very well to ensure that he goes for this CAF C license. I think there's a guy named Angola. I think he's done very, very well to.
So the guy who's eyeing that job, the top job at Livingstone Pirates.
He's trying to get into the executive to try and clean the mess which the club is getting into, because it's getting out of hand. Sometimes these clubs are run by people who do not love football. This is the problem.
They are there for jobs.
And kudos to everyone who managed to put up something and send something, and the money was there, and he even had some extra change from whatever was being. but you see, I think that's why I come back to Uncle Rapson. That's why I was. Yes. That's where I was going.
Playing continental football and losing one Lamek Siame at this level, I think was very, very disappointing. But at the same time, I think the executive, led by our very own former Nkana Football Club CEO, Charles Chakataza, they have acquired the services. Is it the Togolese national team goalkeeper?
Yes.
Dida. He's now Cabo Warriors #1. You can see how they respond to the market demands. This business of football now, it's a game of numbers. When you see that your goalkeeper is becoming very good, and probably the offers with more money are coming from bigger clubs like Sensational Zanaco Football Club, you have to get prepared to face the challenge. But I think they didn't go local, they've gone international, they've gotten a very, very good goalkeeper. The Togolese, he's from Togo. Togolese goalkeeper Dida, and that is a guy who's going to be in between the sticks and competing with Scott Ngokene in that particular department at Cabo Warriors. I think when you basically look at how the the club itself has been doing in the transfer market, they were quick to bring in their head coach as well, Manfred Chavinga, with regards to the preparation of the team towards continental football. All in all, Cabo Warriors, they haven't reinforced the squad the way I expected them to reinforce, knowing very well that there are players who qualified them to play continental football now. Probably only one or two, like Scott Ngokene, they are very easy to count, those who've been exposed at international level before. Exactly. So for me, I was thinking, it's still open, they can still buy, the transfer window is still open. But I think they needed to reinforce with one or two players who've played continental football before, so that their chances of surviving round one are better, because they are not playing an easy team. I think they'll be going to Madagascar in their first match against CFFA. It's not going to be easy, really. They need to reinforce. And reinforcing doesn't mean buying anyone who's walking with two legs.
Like you avoid the passing.
If you look at the most interesting side of this Kawaya side is that there are certain areas whereby they are very, very well. I think they are good to go in terms of the striking options. I think they've got Twiza Chaibeda, they've got Akakuru Yamachiaba, they've got Jimmy Glove. These players have played at international level. They are very, very good. These guys can rotate, they can play wide, they can play central. They have got that dimension and understanding which will help Kawaias going into continental football. But my worry was in central midfield. I felt Kawaias would have at least brought a little bit of players in that central midfield. They've brought in one interesting player, I think is Boyd Mkandawiye. They've forgotten Boyd Mkandawiye. Yeah, he's back at Kawaias. Hope now he discovers his career, because he was a very, very good left back. We thought he was going to be the next Joseph Musonda. You look at their centre half pairing, Dominic Chanda, probably one of the best defenders in our league, and Matthew Kalonda, he's a very strong lad. He comes in with continental experience. Hope we takes this Kawaias to the next level.
Yeah, let's switch our attention to the squad that was selected by one based on Chambeshi, which is the final traveling squad, Angorapson. The ones they said for this one, there will be only inclusions in terms of these guys who are playing abroad. So for the goalkeepers department, we've got Kelvin Malunga, who is from Ghana. We've got Grigori Sanjase, Young Green Eagles. We've got Lamek Siame, Zanaco. A quick one on this one. Any names or any inclusion or exclusions?
Perfect combination in the goalkeeping department, if you ask me. Kennedy Mwene will need those backups, will need that competition. Why do I say so? Kennedy Mwene is coming from a very, very crucial game where Sundowns played Kaizer Chiefs, and apparently that game went into penalty shootouts, and to save 4 penalties and score one, big step in the right direction of commanding his place as Mamelodi Sundowns #1. It's a very, very competitive position he has at the Sundowns, but I think with age, he's that goalkeeper, his age now, he's aging like fine wine, like those who say fine wine. The older the wine, it tastes better. But I think as a goalkeeper, he's getting the proper experience. Of course, he had that lapse in those COSAFA games. He was neither here nor there. But I think generally it's because he hasn't had that time with the team, and when given this opportunity to represent Zambia, those 3 goalkeepers are going to give him a lot of hell in that position, because I am not seeing Lamek Siame going backwards. I am not seeing Grigori Sanjase going backwards. Those are brilliant goalkeepers. I am not seeing Kelvin Malunga dropping his form from the last 10 games of last season into now. You can tell that goalkeeping department is now highly competitive for the national team. Even if Kennedy Mwene was going to come, it would be very, very competitive to choose which goalkeeper should start in goals.
When you look at the defending department, Augustine, we've got one Benedict Chepeshi, and Prosper Chiluya, both from Red Arrows. We've got Simon Silimba, Solomon Sakala, both Zesco United. We've got Dominic Chanda, Kawe Warriors, Isaac Shamujompa, Beautycon, Miguel Chaiwa, that's Shamio, and Boyd Musonda. Zanaco, I don't even know how he's found himself on it.
When Boyd Musonda became a defender, but if you look at that selection, it's probably these players played very, very well last season. I think we cannot pick a name who was below par, who has been found his way in this starting in this lineup. So if you look at the likes of Zakaria Chilongo, we were question marks how he found himself at the COSAFA last time. I think this is a much better.
It's a reflective. It's a reflective of last season's performance.
Yeah.
Very correct.
So if you look at what Quicksilver is trying to do, if we have to be honest, the Zambia national soccer team and the public, they are not seeing eye to eye. I think there's not that relationship. I think they have lost the love from the fans. I think you even get surprised that someone might find out 1 week later that Zambia was playing, because now people have lost interest in the national team. So what Quicksilver is trying to do is trying to get that connection back from between the national team and the general public. What do we need to do? We need first to start with selection. Select the players that Quicksilver or that the fans are calling for. Then the next step, you need to get performances in these players. I think to me they need to up their performances, these players themselves as well. We need to see better performance from the international team. Then we need to get results.
But a quick one, how did Boyd Musonda find?
I think it's just an error. It's not a defender.
It's
a typing error. Maybe. Let's look at let's
dropped into the midfield.
Let's look at the midfield department. Just so quick. We've got Spencer Sautu from Power Dynamos. We've got Benson Sakala unattached. We've got Harrison Chisarangana, Dixon Chapa, Kelvin Kampamba, both Zesco United. We've got Ngosa Sunzu, Beautycon, Roderick Kawe unattached, Prince Mumba, Kawe Warriors. Just a quick one and corruption on this one.
Well, I think for me, really, I am not seeing any names that I should be seeing there, which are not there. All the names that are there, I think they deserve to be on the list. When
even Ngosa Sunzu?
Not really. Ngosa Sunzu at Beautycon was a bit off much of the season, if you recall. But I think certain selections, majority of these people on this list, for me, if you ask me, they have been playing very well. I don't know what characteristics the technical bench have seen in Ngosa Sunzu, but if you look at the whole list and you realize that maybe 2 or 3, in your opinion, are the ones that should not have been on the list. For me, I don't look at it in that perspective. I'm looking at it from the holistic side of things. If out of all those midfielders, there's one where I feel this player shouldn't have made it, I think credit goes to the technical bench for picking the other ones who I feel are the correct players. So it's a good midfield. Remember, in this kind of midfield, all those players that are appearing on the list, we are basically looking for 2 players there that are going to partner. Enoch Mwepuzo is guaranteed in that middle of the pack.
Yes, exactly.
So and there's already Cletus Chama here.
Of course, yeah, there's Cletus. Cletus is away. So probably Cletus.
Klings is doing well in Russia.
So you see now.
So we have got a lot of competition in that.
So these guys in midfield are creating that competitiveness. And when you look at the technical bench, the inclusion of these other players on the list is probably a second string line of options with regards to the pros that will be called to this particular back-to-back.
I think just talking about the prawns, we hear that is it Franklin Musonda?
This guy, Franklin.
He's making himself available.
A call-up. I think it's interesting. We have been had a lot of problems in that central defensive area. I think we need to have a look at him. How good is he when he comes into that setup? It's going to be interesting. He needs to be given a chance if he's called up.
As we sum up the squad, we've got strikers. We've got Brian Mwila. That's from Beautycon. Jimmy Mukea, Napsa Stars, Felix Bulaya from Red Arrows. What's with Brian Mwila?
I don't know, the miss of the season was
in the COSAFA?
Yeah, of course, that was the biggest miss of the season. The whole season I've been watching soccer. I had an opportunity to watch COSAFA games, and that miss in an open goal, and that's a striker that we want to best anyway. We wish them all the best. I will not comment much on those, but I think when you look at the local options, I am not too sure why. Of course, this player, my player from Zanaco, Martin, I am not too sure what has happened, but I think the boy has got talent. I know he's been given opportunities here and there. He's not performed to the expectations of the fans as well as the technical bench. So to drop him and continue with these other players, I think for me, the coach has done a very good job. You know, these are decisions that you make when the player's morale is a little bit low, but you need immediate results. You stop looking at names. You look at performances. And this is exactly what this particular selection has actually told us.
Interesting selection is Felix Bulaya and Jimmy Muke. I think these are very, very direct players.
Yeah, of course,
these are very, very direct players. They run at defenses. I think it's very, very positive to see them in that national team.
Away from that,
one caller talked about Nkana's signings. Don't forget.
Yes, it's you to give an update.
Why?
I think to be honest, Ghana have not done much.
Give us, how is in Ghana? How is the marketing in Ghana?
The question the caller asked us is, can you give us an update on what Ghana has brought to
our table?
You are in Ghana fan, what's the update?
No, we are fans.
Okay, but let me give you an update.
But I haven't seen a lot of signings.
Except we are very happy and very, very grateful to our noisy neighbors, the Yellow Guys, for giving us Kondo and Chiboni, who has joined Ghana Football Club. That is one of the biggest signings so far that Ghana is doing very quietly. We got
from
Richard Okran. Richard Okran has left. We went hunting at Prison Leopards and we've gotten one Derek Mkombozo.
Very impressive defender.
Very impressive defender. And I think for me, those lapses that Richard Okran was having at the back, I don't even understand how he ended up being captain of that team, really, because in my playing days, I would have been dribbling that guy left, right, and center. But now, we thank him for the services that he rendered to Ghana Football Club, and we wish him all the best. And I think that replacement in Derek has been very, very, very good. The rest of the players, like the caller was asking, we will continue announcing when we unveil.
Emmanuel Mundi has left Ghana.
Hakim Mumba
is training with Forest Rangers. We believe they're closing in, signing the young lad. Hakim Mumba has returned to Red Arrows.
But we are not discussing people who have left.
No, he wanted to
talk about the people who have left. It's very painful. We've lost quite a
couple. I think overall, what the man wants.
What I was laughing is, you are going for pre-season, you produce a list. There are 23 players on the list. Out of 23 players, some of them are with the national team. So basically, you are taking a very, very tiny team for pre-season. Maybe the new signings are yet to be unveiled, and we will be unveiling the players in due course. I'm only hoping that the new EXCO guys who are co-opted are doing business quietly like Zesco United does, exactly. Where when you list them, expect to announce a player. Exactly.
And the league is coming to the league is coming to an open and corruption. We see the Charity Shield being played. That's on the 28th of August at Woodland Stadium. That's Zesco United versus Lusaka Dynamos. A game to watch out for. And the first games of the league and the division games will be played on a Saturday. That's on the 11th of September. How are you looking forward towards this league?
The league is very, very competitive, and you know, teams are they are closing in on the quota system, which will be implemented starting next season into the other season. So they still have room to use all the foreign-based players that they have in this season, because this season has been given as a transitional season to cut down on the number of foreign players each club will have at professional level, which is a very, very good sign for me, if you ask me. And to the teams that are participating in the Zambian League this particular season, they should also take note that CAF also issued an instruction that all teams that will be participating in continental football beginning next season, they should have a female team running side by side with the men's team. So whichever team qualifies for continental football starting next season, if they do not have a female team, they will not be allowed to participate at CAF games. And one of the culprits, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is Power Dynamos Football Club. I think
I knew he was going there.
They'll be caught napping. You see, they've assembled a very good squad, and chances are that they may play continental football. And you know, we are beginning the league with 0 points, all of us.
Yes.
So it's a race to the top 4, and anybody can win. So it's important that these clubs adhere to these requirements so that they are not found wanting at the last minute. They've got to prepare themselves. And this league will be very, very competitive.
Very competitive. Interesting enough, I think we're going to look at Prison Leopards in depth as we go get closer to the season. They've done some good businesses. I think an update on Napsa Stars. They have hired Perry Mutapa
Yes, I
as
was
now
coming there.
their new head coach. I think now Napsa Stars need to get their house in order. I think to me it's a shame. It's a side which were 90 minutes away from being champions of Zambia to being relegated just less than 12 months. I think it was a shame.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this interesting fixture. The first game will be Napsa Stars versus City Yamoto.
Oh, what a match!
That would be a classic. And
the
believe you
landlord
me,
and the tenants, Woodland Stadium.
everybody will be at home. One is the landlord and one is the tenant. Stay with
A
the
must-watch
senior.
game for me.
It's a must-watch game, and when you look at their fixtures, Napsa Stars is very lucky. Their first 5 fixtures, they will not have to endure traveling long distances. They are in Lusaka, and their first game against City of Lusaka, whose coach was relegated to first assistant, and now when you look at that particular game, it will actually bring hope to Perry Mutapa's team that they can return to the Premier League if they recorded their first win of the season. Because I think their second game, if my memory serves me right, they'll be facing Zesco Malite Rangers, and they might be taken to that stadium where there is no paying when entering at Queensmead Stadium, where the terraces are for 50 people and you are sorted out. So I think we can only wish them all the best. And Perry Mutapa is a very, very good tactician. He's been welcomed very well. And kudos to Napsa Stars and their management for maintaining their players very, very well. They've got very, very minimal departures, if you ask me. And they've been training and preparing for the season very, very, very well. And
I think for Napsa, is it a matter of maintaining the players or a matter of demand? Who managed to pay Odiambo and the money Napsa is paying him for doing nothing? Who pays Abu Mukama for being a mediocre player? The money Napsa Stars is paying him. I think it's very, very tricky. Now you see what George Wanamina was saying.
This is where players need to cut down on their...
Very mediocre, I think, to me.
Due to time, your final remarks, Augustine, and your final remarks, Augustine.
It's been an interesting show, Amos, and a big thanks to all the viewers out there who tuned in to watch us. I think we always appreciate your support, and we're looking forward to the Premier League this weekend. Interesting matchups that are coming up. Chelsea versus Arsenal. Can Chelsea continue their winning run? Can Arsenal get their first victory of the season? We wait and see.
Ango Rapson, a start. We saw Enoch Mwepu performing that last weekend. He had his first 45 minutes and we didn't see Papadaka playing.
I think he did very well. He accounted for himself very well. And I think his introduction in that high-paced league was very, very okay to be given the starting berth. We see what happens this afternoon. I think they are meeting Watford, and it was good. It was good for him. His exposure has been fantastic. When you look at Leicester City, I think Leicester City has a very, very lethal striking force, and Patson Daka is waiting patiently to be given that opportunity to participate in the squad. And it's always nice to see him making it to the squad and sitting on that bench. For me, that's the greatest achievement that we should discuss, because if you look at Fashion Sakala, he's been failing to make the bench of late, and it's very worrying. And I'm not very sure about his motivation and how he's going to take it when he's called to the national team in the next 2 to 3 weeks when we face Mauritania and Tunisia, because he is a player who's not making it in the team. He's always sitting on the bench, and once you give him an opportunity to come to the national team, where is his morale and his motivational level going to be? Because he really needs to work extra hard and probably play a couple of games for Rangers before he's called to the national team, so that he comes in high spirits, so that even as we are attacking Mauritania home and away, we should be very, very proud of ourselves and account for the team very well. But it's good for the lads. They've been playing very, very well, and they are working hard in training, I'm very sure, and time will be given to them to perform on the pitch. Anyway,
we've come to the end of the show, but before we close, let me just get through these comments from Facebook, because we appreciate all the fans and all the support that we get from all across. We've got Cosmas Mumba here who is saying, watching from work, I'm loving the program, thanks very much. We've got Daniel Davis, Kings Rio. Good morning, Paneo, how are you? I'm watching and following you live from Solwezi. We've got Peter Ngambi, Mr. Sikombe, very intelligent man, keep it burning.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Anyway, thanks very much to all the people who managed to comment and post their views. We appreciate you. Without you, we are nothing. We've come to the end of the show, and we'll bring you nothing but the best in terms of sports. That's next week, Saturday. Keep glued to Community TV, because we are not just another channel. We are out. Bye-bye.